the What's New Mama podcast. And today we have a special guest. We're your hosts, Giselle and Amy. And then I jumped right into it. I was so excited. Today we have a special guest, and this is my dear friend and beautiful, beautiful woman that I love and adore, Raquel Campbell. She is a woman that wears many hats on top of being a mom, and one of them is she's a makeup artist, and she's very talented at what she does. This is the only person I trust with my eyebrows and with my makeup. So thank you for being there for all of my special events and all the special moments in my life. So
with pleasure.
So here we are. We are in very different momhood realms, right? Between me, Amy, and you. You have a teenager, which just had a birthday.
Teenager.
Happy
she's
birthday,
14.
Scarlett. Yeah, she's 14.
Wow.
Which I met you when you just had her. She was a couple months old.
I think so. She was under one.
Like 6 months or something.
6 months.
I remember.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And guess what Raquel was doing? Raquel was coming into my store, to our boutique, and doing makeup for an event. And I think I don't know if you brought her, but I remember seeing Scarlett at one point. She was a little baby.
Back then, it was totally possible that I either brought her with me, which I did often, and if not, if I didn't bring her the whole time, I probably had like a childcare gap. When I was finishing up, somebody had to drop her off there.
Yeah, I think that probably happened. Yeah. I think the event, we had like a private event at the boutique at the time. It was a very mom and pop boutique, and Danielle introduced us. She brought you in, and we did this event that went on to 9 or something. It was crazy hours. People didn't want to leave. The moms didn't want to leave. They wanted to drink the champagne. They wanted to have the hors d'oeuvres and have their makeup full glam. Yeah. And then you also do eyebrows. That was another thing I think you kind of touched up on with the women there. But then after that, I was just that was my go-to, Raquel. And then we hung out. I think Danielle had a going away party or something like that when she moved back to LA. And then
she did.
The other times that we've seen each other is major events, like my
wedding, baby shower,
my maternity shoot, those type of things.
Shoot.
And there were a couple of other things I feel like I just don't remember.
Definitely, it's been so long that you lose count of the times.
Yeah. But every time I see her, we have a great time, and we talk about everything.
Kind of different things.
Yeah. But one of the things that I didn't dive into with you yet is what it's like having a teenager, what it's like raising a child in this world where you have social media, which we did not grow up with.
We did not.
No. So the challenges with that, and then just in New York, the city life and keeping up with the Joneses when it comes to the kids are wearing this now and all that. So let's start off with that. Let's start off with, how do you deal with parenting now and having a teenager?
So it's funny. I do know that a lot of parents get concerned about social media and the bullying side of it and the posting. And my philosophy with Scarlett is basically don't ever, ever, ever post anything that you would be embarrassed that I saw, family members see, teachers see, etc. Because I do know that younger kids, they get in the habit of snap and they think, it disappears. So if I snap it, send a DM, nobody's going to see it. Listen,
it lives forever.
They screen record. So the kids act like it's a, deleting message and it goes away, but it's never deleting. They screen record each other and then they repost it and then everyone sees it. So she's super careful with that. I would say, I think, at least as of now, let's knock on wood, she doesn't really get into trouble that way. But what I do think is that social media influences them. So what you can't really control is, I saw a TikTok hair routine and I must buy X, Y, and Z product. Or this makes you, I don't know, not with her so much, but just for instance, this makes you skinny. So I have to eat this and eat that. And I'm like, girl, you know that I do social media. Half of this stuff is 25 takes. They don't even show you what they're really using because they're being paid to promote a product. Like, you can't be that gullible. So those are my conversations with her. Yeah.
And she sees how you are too. And you're a makeup artist, so you're about like the touch-ups and the contouring and all that stuff. And then you add filter, not you per se, but people add filters.
Absolutely.
But I know you've posted things where you're like, this is no filter and this is with filter.
Yeah. And filtering, I think, isn't a bad tool. And I show it to her from a technical perspective. So any magazine you open up, even back in the day, everything has been touched up. So that is just what it is. Everything is touched up. But I think nowadays what's becoming scary is it's not just Photoshop where you kind of like erase a pimple. It's literal feature changing filters.
It's a brand new face.
It's a brand new face, and people don't even like the way they look because they're so used to seeing themselves in this brand new face or brand new body. Like, you can put on a skinny filter and everybody's like, ooh, look at me. And they're like 25 pounds smaller. So from a technical perspective, I don't think there's anything wrong with touch-ups, presenting the best possible product with keeping the authenticity of the actual product. And that's where it's getting scary because people aren't themselves anymore. So you have to be comfortable with it without filter and then make it better with filter.
But that's the problem because now people are used to seeing their face super chiseled and with the big eyelashes and all of
and
this
the little tiny nose.
The tiny nose. But then you see each other, you take like you're taking a family photo or a group photo, you're like, I'm not posting this because I look horrible.
I look terrible.
But you don't. You look
like you
in your way. Right.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, do you think the pendulum's gonna swing back at one point? Just like fashion does and everything else does?
I hope so. I will say that now with her, like what's trending with the young girls, they like to look like minimalist and 90s. So I have my fingers crossed that at least for a little while, they'll get used to not the heavy like bat wing eyelashes or like the crazy contour. They'll get comfortable again with what they look like. So then when you do add a lash or add contour, it's just for fun. Like it becomes like, oh, I'm going to live in
everyday makeup.
No, it's not. You don't have to have that to leave the house. It's more like, oh, I'm going to do something different today. I'm going to be, somebody different. So.
Yeah. Speaking of, you just reminded me, I know you told me before you had a client that you were paid to do her makeup every single day, her daily makeup.
Yeah.
Like, and what was the goal behind that? But I mean, we're not mentioning names, we're not mentioning people, but I just remember the goal. You told me the goal behind it, and it just stuck with me. Do you remember?
What did I say? Because I'm sure. Remind me of what I said. Because I probably would answer it differently now. But what did I tell you? Because I'm sure it's true.
The goal was, because I remember, and this was, let me put it in context. This was when I felt horrible, fat, bloated, and all that stuff because I was 8 months pregnant. And I was having my maternity shoot, and I told you I don't feel beautiful because I just feel like, like just huge and uncomfortable. And you were like, girl, you look beautiful, blah, 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 whatever, right? And like, you helped me. Like, you gave me that confidence that I needed to like go into that photo shoot on that rainy day when my hair got messed up. But that's another story. The point is, you told me, you were like, listen, women, we have to do whatever it is that we need to do in order to feel beautiful, whether it's a glam session, whether it's a little Botox filler, change your hair color, whatever it is, like you do it to make yourself feel better. You don't do it for anybody else. And if that means having a little bit of touch because you don't know how to do your makeup every day or whatever it is, then you're going to hire somebody to do that if you can afford to do that. Right. And so then we that turned into the conversation of, listen, I had a client that hired me to do her makeup every single day, regular, everyday makeup. And the goal was to find someone to be with. Like, she wanted to like get married and she wanted to, do you remember?
It's just her. It's just like, oh.
That girl who was going on, she came here.
She was going on a bunch of dates.
And she would get her makeup done every single day before her dates. But I think it also gave her a sense of confidence when going on the date because she didn't necessarily know how to do her makeup. And I don't think that I think she was just trying to find somebody. So that innately gives you like a nervous feeling when you're trying to like, you know, that you have a goal to meet people. It's pressure. So that just she felt confident. It took the layer of pressure off. Like she felt like, okay, at least I know I look good. So what happens after that happens after that. So
then it's just a personality thing. But at least you got through the
at least you know at least you feel confident.
But that stuck with me because I was like, I'm not gonna do my makeup like that every day. I'll do the minimal concealer, mascara, blush, just so I don't look ghostly, right?
Right, same,
but it is a lot of pressure to look perfect and to look flawless all the time. So how do you find that balance? Being in your industry, being a makeup artist, being an eyebrow specialist, and like all of these things, and you deal with anchors and models and the everyday person as well, because it's men and women.
Definitely.
How do you
I think that most people have come to like a place where, well, at least I've come to a place, and I've seen that from like people on television, where we know that if we're just navigating everyday life, you're not going to get this. It's not going to be a glam. You just get comfortable knowing that there's an on you and an off you. So an off view is baseline. It's normal. I probably don't even wear makeup. I would say I don't wear makeup 5 out of 7 days a week.
Really?
You'll just see me with 5 out of 7 days. I have nothing on. I'll probably have on a baseball cap, sunscreen, and I look crazy. But then when I know that I have somewhere to go or something to do, it gives me that much more energy to be like, I go from 0 to 100. There's no like 50% for me. But that's your
gauge, your range.
Some people are always at 50%. Like they get up every day and do like the same thing and it'd be the same routine if they were going to dinner. Not me. I either do nothing or I do everything. But I've gotten comfortable with that. And I'm like, okay, this is me doing nothing. And I know that I could still turn on when I have something to do.
Yeah. You're both of these people. Not every day.
No,
but it's based on the event, and it's based on whatever your life calls at that moment, at that day.
Exactly.
That's a good way to balance it all.
That's the way because there's no way that with all the other things I want to do or have to do, I could get up and like spend an hour getting ready. Like I don't have an hour.
Yeah.
but so for me, I realized that mentally I wasn't satisfied with like doing a rushed 10-minute face and like trying to, because then I feel like I just look whatever. So I'm like, okay.
You're like, I'm not gonna do anything.
I do nothing. So either I look like fresh washed face or I look beat. It's got to be one or the other. But that's just me. That's the way my mind works.
Gotcha. Yeah, but see, you know your balance.
So, I know my balance.
How do you share that with your clients? How do you share that philosophy with your clients so that they find their way? Because I know when I sit in your chair and you're like, well, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. I trust you. You do whatever you want. And whatever you say is like God's word to me. It's like, whatever Raquel said, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to let you do with my face. My face is your canvas. So how do you translate that to your clients so that they can walk away with that?
Oh, that's a good question. So I always try to like talk to the client and find out what they're comfortable with. 9 times out of 10, people want to look natural, they say.
Yeah.
So
I've said that to you multiple times.
I want to look natural. And when people say natural, they'll always give me a reference. Like they'll pull up a picture of J-Lo or pull up a picture of you.
I did that.
Or they'll pull up
that was my wedding day conversation with you.
Yes, it was. Or they'll pull up a picture. J-Lo's the number one go-to. Or they'll pull up a picture of like Kim Kardashian, but without like when
not
she has
the
like
Kim
that
now, the Kim,
right? Like where she just looked kind of glowy, and then I have to have that conversation. I'm like, okay, this face is an hour and a half face. This is full contour. This is full concealer. What you're looking at is neutral colors. Like they're not wearing bright red lipstick, but this isn't natural.
And so once you get contour,
a subtle and the contour most of the time is not that subtle, but it looks blended. So I'm like, do not think that. And they're like, oh, just tell me how to do this in 10 minutes. You can't. So once you get that in your head, a 10-minute face does not look like this. This is a
Yeah.
skilled hour natural makeup face. At least hour face. So once I get people to understand that, then they're like, okay, it's
and
not
it's
just
lashes.
me.
And it's like
lashes.
all this other. I remember you did some contour with my nose, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize it took so much brown, right? Because like I don't know if it was brown. Like so much brown to like try and do this contour. When I'm at home, I'm over here doing a little bit of brown because I think it's too much. But
and that's what I tell people. They're like, well, how come when I do it, it doesn't look like the way they look? And I'm like, because you're not even using enough. I'm like, if you were sitting face to face with J-Lo, for instance, and a beautiful woman, you would see she has on a lot of makeup. It's well done. It's pristine. So it's blended, but this is not I woke
like
up
like a little dab,
no,
here.
It's not like a little here, a little there. This is full professional
makeup. Let me saturate the tip of the sponge and bring it down.
Absolutely. So I'm like, don't beat yourself up. A 10-minute face is never going to look like that. So don't think that you're doing something wrong or I'm ugly, because she looks so natural yet flawless. She's flawless, but not natural. So, you know,
it's the Maybelline line.
Your mind, exactly. Once you train your mind, then you're like, okay, it takes all this. So I know that when I get my makeup done or I have a special occasion, I too can put forth the effort and look like this. But on an everyday basis, they don't look like that.
They don't look like that, no. That's when they have the oversized glasses and the baseball cap. They're
exactly.
like you.
Exactly. They have the big cap. Listen, I love a baseball cap. It covers everything. I'm like hooded. So.
And so, okay. Sorry, Amy. Do you have questions? Because I know you're big into the makeup.
I feel like I'm like, am I over talking her?
No. I'm always quiet.
She's taking notes too, because she's all about like the makeup tips.
She's right, because I'm like, when I do my makeup, it's super light. I'm scared of getting like heavy handed, because I'm like, what if I don't blend this in right? And then I just look like big, dark.
Like, I don't want to look like a clown. So I just, I can't.
I just do really light, and this is what you get. I do this every day, and that's it. So I'm learning.
No, but you know what? I like that you have found your baseline. Like, you know how to get yourself ready in however long it takes you, and that you feel confident. Like, this is my natural face, and this is where I'm at. And I think everybody needs that. They need like a baseline face. So.
Well, this is something I learned, especially with recording here and like my video calls for work. Right now, it looks like I barely have anything on my face. Okay. Which I barely do. But I OD'd with the blush, and you can't even tell in this camera.
You see it.
But in person, if I go look at Tom right now, he'll be like, what's wrong? Why do you have so much blush? Because I know that this light and like all of this is going to wash me out even more. So I have to OD with the blush. But I wouldn't do this if I'm just interacting with somebody on a regular basis. Like, I just did it because I knew we were recording. So,
but I was going to say that we talked about this on your wedding day. You were like, I don't want to look like it's so much makeup. I was like, when you get your pictures, it's not going to look like a lot of makeup at all.
It doesn't translate that way. Yeah.
It translates normal, but in person, you're like, especially if you're not used to seeing yourself like that on an everyday basis. So
I was like, I wish I could wake up like this. So speaking of, the first thing when we were setting up before we actually started recording, the first thing I told Raquel, of course she's full glam for this recording session. And guess what? This is her overnight makeup, right?
Don't sell her out. No,
it's fine. You have to sell me out. Yeah.
Because this is how good she is at what she does. Like, your face looks like you just did that. It looks fresh. It looks glowy, dewy. And all the words that you want to we associate with the J-Lo glow. That's what your makeup looks like.
Listen, I will tell you that I knew that I'll tell the listeners that my daughter had a birthday dinner last night. So I had my makeup. I actually had lashes on last night, but I couldn't sleep in them. But I knew that I had to get up and look presentable, and I was going to do the whole thing over again. So I did. I slept like a corpse, and all I had to do was like touch my under eyes, and I was like, all right, good. I'll make it and look
Happy birthday, Scarlett.
Happy birthday, Scarlett, and not scare the people on your podcast.
Well, thank you for not scaring our audience.
Actually,
No,
do
no.
want to ask you something.
Yes.
So my daughter sees me putting on makeup. She likes she's like, oh, can I get some or whatever? So what is your advice to moms if your daughter wants to get into makeup? Like, how do you treat it with your daughter? Is she wearing makeup now? Because she's 14, you
She
said,
does.
right?
She
She
wears it.
does. Okay.
She
Is
does.
it like a
But at
lot?
what age
Because
did you
No.
introduce
no. Okay.
it? Did you allow
Yeah.
her to
Okay,
paint
that's a good
nails and do all
question.
that?
So I think that I always allowed her to like do it in the house. Like
Okay.
if she wanted to put makeup on and like not go outside, or I should, no, not true. Because even when she was maybe 6 and she wanted to put on, I looked at it as like play, like
Mm-hmm.
creative play. So I would make her like, I'm not going to do makeup for a 6-year-old, but if she wanted to put on lip gloss and we go like to dinner, I would
Yeah.
let her. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it was, if you look at it, it's not like, a pageant mom. It's like, oh, this little girl was playing in
Yeah.
her mom's lip gloss, but that was rare. I would say that I probably started letting her wear makeup like to go to school. She probably wasn't even interested in wearing it to go to school until 8th grade last year. And when I
Okay.
say makeup, it was like a little like Fenty gloss or
Yeah.
like now she's gotten into mascara. She'll wear mascara, gloss, and I feel like all these brands target young girls. So Selena Gomez has like her
Yeah.
makeup line, and she's like, I
Mm-hmm.
have to have Selena Gomez
The
makeup.
Rare
So she
Beauty.
wears the Rare Beauty. So she had bought like a little highlighter, and she'll put it. It's very minimal. If you
Yeah.
saw her, you might not even notice. But I let her because I feel like, and when I was in high school, I probably had like a MAC Studio Fix compact that I would like, probably it's the
Yeah.
wrong color, that I would put on with like brown liner and clear
Yeah.
gloss. So, you kind of, I say that in my mind, they're only young once. So you have to let them explore their style, explore their
Yeah.
taste, like let them
Mm-hmm.
look crazy because we did. And
Yeah.
they think it's cute and it's nothing you can tell them
Yeah.
because that's their style. Because when you become an adult, you do have to be more normal. Like you have to
Yeah.
think about what's appropriate for work or what's appropriate.
They
So
have more freedom as a kid.
as a kid, you have more freedom, especially as a teenager. So if you want to dye your hair blue, knock yourself out. Like do it, express yourself. That's my thing. Yeah.
I love
So
that because my parents super strict.
Oh yeah.
I was never allowed to wear even nail polish of color. And it was like if I did, it was in the house.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I would have to take it off to go out. And then there's the makeup. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup till I was probably 18.
Mm-hmm.
Started college and started with like eyeshadow, and it was like soft eyeshadow from whatever
Yeah.
little like Estee Lauder that my mom used to
Almay.
get from
Yeah. Yeah.
like the
Or
gift sets. So I love that. I love that philosophy, and I'm trying to do that with Sienna. She's 6, so she's like,
Yeah.
I want to wear lip balm, so I give her like lip balm and whatever I wear, like the minty one. So she's like, oh, it's minty, it's
And
nice,
it
like
feels
it's
like something to
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
I try to destigmatize it so that she feels like, and it really kind of works because she doesn't OD because she knows that she still wants to look her age. Like it has to be
Yeah.
age appropriate, but
Yes. Mm-hmm.
you give a little, and then they don't feel like they have to like, I don't know, do too much or look
They
too
don't have to
Mm-hmm.
grown. They
overcompensate
don't have to
or
overcompensate.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
with that, like, does she see anything on social media? Does she see anything like, and is she like, oh, I want to do like, I don't know, let's say she wants to do full glam, full makeup. What do you say to that? Like based on something she's seen, like,
she doesn't really see things and want to do like full glam, but she dances. So for like dance competitions, it is almost like pageant makeup. She has to be like full glam. So I think because she gets her fill of that for like dance
gotcha.
recitals, and
Yeah.
she's like, and that becomes almost a chore to her. She almost
It's
doesn't,
work. Yeah.
yeah, she almost doesn't like the way she looks because she feels like she looks so like dolled up. She feels like
Different.
it's not, yeah, different. Yeah.
Like it's not her. It's not her every day. She knows this is for
This is
dance.
stage
This is for
because
stage,
it's stage
not
because it's
regular life.
full smoky eye,
Yeah. I've
full
seen some of the
blush.
pictures. Yeah.
You've seen the pictures, and
Yeah.
it the reason behind it is perfectly valid because when you're on
The
stage with
lights.
lights, you will look blank if you're not like, and you see
Yeah.
expression with the full makeup, but for
Mm-hmm.
her that isn't the norm. That's like character. That's for
Yeah.
dance or for performance. So
Yeah. And
yeah.
speaking of, so you are for lack of a better term, you're stage mom, right? Like, I don't know what other term to use, but not the stage mom in the negative sense. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like,
I can be.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Okay.
No, not negative, but I can be stage mommy. Yeah,
okay.
I can do it.
But you support her artistic like development for her to find her way, singing, dancing. She models too, right?
She doesn't model, actually. When she was a kid, I thought about it, but her dad was so against it that it wasn't worth it for me to like
fight that
push
battle.
it. Yeah. But now that she's older, she does enjoy like dance. She loves to sing. So I do support her like creative things like that. Yeah.
And then that's like multi-layered right now.
I know.
I'm like, wait, I gotta get back to this. So you grew up this way. You grew up in Los Angeles, right?
Yes. Yes.
If I remember that correctly. You moved here later on.
In like my mid-20s. Yeah.
20s. Okay. So in LA, your mom had you like, how did that happen? Because I know that you do the same with Scarlett when it comes to her development with stage and just dancing and all that stuff. But how did you get into that? How did your mom like look up all these things and was like, yeah, you're gonna go sing and you're gonna do all this stuff? Like, what did that look like growing up for you?
So growing up, I was really interested. I wanted to be like on TV and this and that. And so I remember back in the day when they had like 17 magazine. I don't even know if that's still out, but
I don't know.
I must have been like 12, and I had like a 17 magazine, and they used to have these like open call auditions. So I begged my mom to take me, and I don't know what the prize was, but I was like one of maybe like 10 winners. Like, and what they did is my mom was like, I don't know about this. It's probably a scam. They're gonna ask for money or whatever. But the prize was you won free acting and modeling classes.
Oh.
And from that, and because it was free, she was like, all right, it's free. I'll take you. I got an agent, an acting agent.
And how old were you?
I was probably 12. I was probably like in the 7th grade. And this is back in the early 90s. I'm telling my age. This is back in the early 90s. And I really wanted to get into the business, and my mom was super supportive of it. Now, back then, I went on a lot of auditions, and as a kid, you know, as an actor, they try to put you like, you're part of a family typically. When you're cast for a show, you're like the daughter, this and that. And at the time, it's so funny how times change. I wasn't getting casted very much because they were like, oh, we don't really know what to do with her. Because they were like, back then there was no mixed people on shows.
It was
like,
a lot of
either you
white
had
families.
to either be like, you either had to be
the
white,
friend of the
friend
kid
of
in
the
main family.
Yeah. You either had to be like white, or you had to look like very black, like brown, or you and then for like Latino people, you either had to look like very like Spaniardy, like there was no such thing as like brown,
or Mexican.
like
there was a lot of
Mexican.
especially
a lot of Mexican.
A lot of LA was that was where all the production was happening. So you had to look that way.
You had to look that way. And they were like, you know, we'll keep trying, but it just wasn't, even for commercials, like the family would all be like black people or white people. They didn't. So it's funny. So I did that for a while, and then I kind of like got discouraged. And my mom was like, but you have to understand, with acting, you'll get 1,000 no's before you get one yes.
Oh, that was nice. And she was encouraging you in that way.
It's so true though. Like any actor or actress will tell you that, but it's hard to tell a 12 or 13-year-old that. Like, especially at that weird age where you're kind of like insecure and internalizing
and you're
a lot
getting
of
a
things.
bunch of rejection. It's hard.
For me at that time, it was almost all rejection. It was like, oh, she's cute, but she doesn't fit, or this and that. And I was like, all right, never mind. So I probably stopped that in my early teens, took a break, and then my later teens, I wanted to sing. I was like, oh, I want to sing. So my mom was the one who kind of like I was in a singing group. She kind of got that going, like helped us like audition and stuff. So it kind of transitioned. So from that experience, I do the same with my daughter. Like times have changed, and I feel like people who look like her or me are everywhere on every ad, everywhere. So it's good in that sense. It probably wouldn't be the same level of no's, but I do tell her, you're not going to get every part. You're not going to always sound good. You're not going to always dance your best, but it's the effort. You have to keep trying, keep going.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. But you, during that whole process, even with the rejection, you were going through dance classes, singing lessons.
Yeah, my mom was driving me. And I was fortunate that my mom was an entrepreneur, so she had the time to drive me and take me places, but it was a lot. It was like, she was like, this is a full-time job.
Yeah,
especially because, and I don't
Yeah.
think people think, oh, I'm going to get my kid in modeling or acting. You have to have, it almost takes a stay-at-home
you have to be
parent to be,
available.
you have to be
24/7.
available. Because they'll tell you like last minute that there's an audition all the way, for instance, in New York,
on the
all
other
the way
side of
downtown.
LA. Oh, but
Yeah, or in LA where the traffic is crazy, like an hour away, and you have to like pick the child up from school, get them ready, and take them over there at the drop of a hat. So it's a lot.
How did you balance that out? And how did your mom balance that out with school? Like if she had to take you out, like from class?
I was in middle school at the time, and fortunately I went to a smaller school, but she was picking me up early all the time, like taking me places. So it was a commonplace.
It's a sacrifice.
It was definitely a sacrifice. And I think when I got to high school, I wasn't committed as much. Like, you want to hang out with your friends. You want to be like, I wanted to do like high school-y stuff. So I always commend child actresses and actors because they do not have a normal
they sacrifice their
experience.
Lives.
They sacrifice their normal experience to do it. So, yeah.
How did that conversation go between your mom and your dad deciding, or do you know, like now as an adult, because I'm sure as a kid you hopefully like you weren't exposed if they didn't see eye to eye, because like you said, you didn't want to make that fight, you didn't want to have that argument with Scarlett's father. Like, how did that happen with them? Like,
I don't think my dad was into it at all. But my dad is very like old school and I don't think he was into it at all. But I think that because I had a younger sister who was into sports, and my dad was definitely into baseball.
He was busy with that.
He was busy with her. He was like, whatever, you take her and do this nonsense, and I'll take the younger one to baseball. Yeah, the athlete, and then I'll focus there. So I don't think he was into it, but I think that it was just like the trade-off. He'll take one, she'll take the other. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I know you said you dove into singing and all of that. Has Scarlett seen the footage of like when you appeared on TV, of your shows that you had when you were in your musical group? Do you want to say the name of the musical? We don't have to say it, but
I don't care. It was the name of the group was So Plush. It was like 20 years ago, easily, probably. So I remember trying to show it to her when she was younger, and she didn't care at all. She was like, and I was like, do you see me? She was like, whatever. But now that she's in high school, she could care less. Like, she didn't want to, she was like, whatever. But now that she's older and in high school, I guess they do this thing where the kids Google each other's parents. She was like, she was like, my friends Googled me, and they saw you like on TV or whatever.
Just so you know, this is going to happen to us, and we're going to be here.
Yeah. Totally. They're going to go to your podcast, and they're going to listen to everything you said. So, it's gotten to a point where I was like, even I have an open Instagram page, and I was like, what kids want to look at? So they don't follow me. She was like, yeah, but they'll stalk your Instagram so they could see you acting crazy on your Instagram page. I was like, well, tell them to get off of adults' pages. Then it shouldn't be there.
Wow. Yeah, no, so they stalk your Instagram.
They stalk my Instagram. The kids will Google you. So, yeah.
Gotcha. So, but there's nothing like, so you're careful, just like you tell her to be careful what she posts on Instagram. You're mindful now too of what you post and what you share, because you also don't want her to get that secondhand kind of like, oh, your mom did this. I heard your mom say, you don't want her to get that either, right? So like, how do you approach the things that you post? Even though you want to have fun, you want to post you and Glow, like drinking and, you know, the bikini pics and like all this stuff. But do you ever say, oh, maybe I shouldn't post this right now because Scarlett's friends might see it?
So it's less about that actually. Like, I feel like I'm mindful of what I post, but it's a balance because I also want to post things that are authentic, like my real life. And so I have a lot of clients that follow me. And my clients can be from totally different walks of life or whatever. So everyone has a different perspective. You will be canceled so fast these days for anything. So my thing is, I don't post anything that I care if someone is offended by. So if it's my perspective and I feel that strongly about it, or if it's a joke, like I try to keep my page I try to keep it authentic, yet if I'm professional, and professional is probably loose because I'm unprofessional a lot of the time on my page, but unprofessional enough where you might just see me shake my butt, and if you can't live with that, it's never going to be like raunchy. But if you can't live with a little lighthearted shots and twerking, then I can't do anything for you. It's not that professional, and I try not to post anything. I will post political things, but things that are close enough to my heart where if someone challenges it, then I'm like, all right, fine, I'm not for you. But not things that I'm not well versed enough in to have a perspective, or I'm not that passionate enough. So I'll let a lot of that stuff just come through my timeline. I'm like, I'm not posting that. It's not worth it. It's not worth, So I try to be mindful, try to be mindful. It's a balance.
You have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I know you mentioned, well, Amy, do you have any questions?
No, keep going.
So I know you mentioned like you're an entrepreneur. So you're a makeup artist, you set your own schedule, you are pursuing your passion and like your skills in your own way. You said your mom was an entrepreneur as well. Do you feel like you got that ability to pursue that from her?
Definitely. My mom's family, they had a business, so everybody worked in that business, and they were her business probably far more demanding than mine. But I did see that from being an entrepreneur and able to set her own schedule to a certain extent, she was able to like take me places. And I feel the same way with my career. Like I realized a long time ago that I was never probably, not never, but at least not in the short term, going to be able to be like a world traveler, celebrity makeup artist, because I do have a kid that I want to be able to take to dance or be there for her school stuff. You can't have it both ways. And I understand the parents who make the career choice. I totally get it, because you are earning the money to like afford them lifestyle things. But I kind of wanted to be able to take her places and be there in the physical. So I could only work. I could work, but I could work only so much. And I was okay with not having like a superstar career in order to be there enough. So it has to, for me, always has to be like this. It has to be a balance.
It's a sacrifice, but a balancing act.
But a balance. And then, if, she'll be in college in 4 years. And then if I have to like travel 4 or 5 days out the week, it'd be fine for me. But now I need to be here at least most of the time. So
Right. And then with that, do you feel like, has she told you what she wants to do long term? Like, does she want to follow in your footsteps, be an entrepreneur herself? What does she
always says she has no idea.
She's a kid. She's
a kid.
That's the way that it should be. But I just don't know if like she sees what you're doing and she's like, oh, that's so cool. Like, how does she feel about what you do? Does she give you any feedback on that?
She always says, I could never deal with clients. I have no. She was like, I never want to service clients. I would never want to deal with clients because, most clients are lovely. Some clients are crazy. That's just the way the business works.
Have you ever had someone that you've done their makeup and then they're just not happy and they just take it off?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not, I will say it's not the norm. And, but it's happened once or twice. And I think the first time it happened, I took it super personally.
Yeah,
I was aggravated. Like I took it personally. But now I've gotten to a point where I was like, what can we do to make you like it? And if I can't do anything to make you like it, your choice, your money. Take it. Like I can't I think all artists, whether it be you're a singer, a painter, a makeup artist, you have to understand everybody is not going to like it. It's all subjective. Like some people are going to think you suck. And everybody else can tell you that you're wonderful and you're so good. And there's going to be those people who be like, I didn't like it. It was terrible. So you can't take it personally.
Yeah. And Scarlett sees that from you. So I think
and that's why she's like, I could never deal with clients.
I mean, dealing in customer service in general, like
you know
you're gonna get the nasty clients, but then you have the wonderful clients that keep you going and keep you in it, because you're like, oh man, this person, like I've had people throw clothes at me. I've had people like completely curse me out. Yeah, Amy's like, no. I would have lost my job.
Like I could never. Yeah,
she could never. Yeah, I've had a woman come in and throw a skirt at me to the point, and I was 7 months pregnant. I was 7 months pregnant,
and you were like, I remember, lady, if this baby wasn't here,
yeah, to the point where my coworker stepped in. But like, then I had wonderful clients that would say, "Oh my God, I'm so glad you're here," because I have no idea how to dress or how to, you know, what to get for my workout gear or whatever. And that makes it all right. You have good days, you have bad days.
Yeah.
And I think learning not to take it personal, because I would early on, I would definitely take it personal. And then just realizing this is just human nature. You're going to vibe with some people, with other people. It doesn't matter how nice you are, how genuine you are. You're just not going to vibe, and they're not going to like you. That's totally fine. And I think that's one of the things that Amy and I try and talk about a lot. Like when it comes to that point with our kids, when we have to have those conversations where some kids just aren't going to like you. Yeah. And that's okay.
I tell my daughter that all the time. And especially now in high school, because you know, with girls especially, boys are a little different. Yeah. Boys are kind of like,
if you have like a good outfit or you're good at sports, you vibe. You're into the same Dungeons and Dragons, whatever it is, you vibe. Girls,
and they don't hold on to stuff. But girls, it can be gossip, mean girls. They're fighting over boys. And I always tell her, nobody has to invite you anywhere. So don't get in your feelings. Everybody isn't going to vibe with you. Some people don't like you. Some people don't like the way you look. Some people, but you have to tough it out. Like, it doesn't stop here. You can get a job and work corporate, and some people are going to talk about you. Some people aren't going to like
those
you.
Mean kids grow up to be mean adults.
Mean adults. So if you don't learn how to take it on the chin young, you're going to be one of these overly emotional, cry of everyday adults who can't like function.
As Amy says, the soft. What did you say? The soft generation?
The soft kids.
No, they're so soft. And these days, to like combat bullying, they go to the other extreme. Like everybody, like they think that everything is a bully or everything is. Some people are going to talk about you. So what? They did it back in the day. Like back in the day, people would wait for you to beat you up after school. They don't even do that anymore. You guys are fine.
I've called my cousin. I've had to call my cousin from school. Be like, so said they're going to jump me and they're going to beat me up for no reason. No reason. And she would wait outside.
Yeah. Oh, I was there. They used to do that. The girls used to want to meet you outside after high school. I was like, you guys got it easy. They don't even do that no more.
Yeah, I know.
Kids
put gum in your hair, nair. It was crazy.
It was
we survived
crazy.
That though. We survived
and it makes you tough and it makes you stand up for yourself. So I'm like, somebody said I was ugly and they posted it. So what, girl? Move on. Like everybody, like, it's what it is. Like, and maybe she thinks you're ugly. You don't have to think that. So what? It's fine.
I love that. That's gonna be the clip right there. Maybe she thinks you're ugly, but you don't have to think that.
I have to think that. Yeah. I was like, that's how I think. So that. What? Yeah.
I need to talk to you every day because I need that.
Stop it. Stop it.
I need that motivation. Can you adopt me? No.
Yes, you can be my other daughter.
Yes, thank you. But no, that's the type of dialogue we need to have with our kids because it's so important. Nowadays, you take a picture, you look cute, like that whole felt cute might delete later, like the whole I felt pretty. Like people do that, but you genuinely felt pretty and good about yourself enough to post this. Don't let somebody else's opinion of whatever it is in that photo that they say that's negative, tear it down. Don't make yourself take that down. And
the kids do that. They post and delete because maybe they didn't get enough likes, or maybe
that's another thing. They didn't get enough likes.
I'm like, you liked it. It doesn't matter. Don't look at how many people liked it. You liked it. So it is what it is. And I was like, in any ways, half of this stuff with likes and stuff, it's a business. It's an algorithm. Like, if maybe your friend didn't even see the damn picture, but you're getting so in your feelings about like likes, you can't let that drive you. Like, if you liked it, leave it. It is what it is. It's up.
I think that's such a powerful thing, though, because it can obviously go the other way, right? It could be a super negative tool, but it builds resilience. If you can use that, if you have somebody in your corner, right? Your mom, your friend, your sister, whatever it is, saying things like what you're saying, hey, it doesn't matter if they didn't like it. You liked it.
You liked it.
If you have somebody pushing you through that and saying, I don't care. I don't care that they didn't like it. I don't care that they said something negative about it. I felt good about that. That is going to build that confidence that when they grow up into adulthood, they're not going to be seeking for that validation from somebody else.
No. And being able to take constructive criticism is another thing, because I'm also not that mom that's going to tell you that everything you did is wonderful. I don't think, I'm not going to, some of these parents are delusional. They think their kid is the next Whitney Houston. They think their kid is the next. You can't also put unrealistic expectations or have these kids thinking that they're so great that you can't tell them anything. The minute you give them a little bit of criticism, they crumble. No, I'm going to tell, like I tell Scarlett all the time, this was amazing, or it wasn't your best. You probably could practice a little more, but you got to be able to take it, make the adjustments, and it's about everything.
That's how you get better. That's how you get better. That's how you get about better. The things that you care about too. Like, absolutely. She cares about her performances. She cares about how she, performs essentially in front of other people. So if she has that genuine feedback from you and you're not just saying, oh, great job, that was great, that was perfect, honey, but it wasn't, then she's going to say, oh, I need to step it up. I need to do better.
You have to be able to have confidence, like what you do and not care about if someone else doesn't like it, but also on the flip side of it, take criticism, because everything isn't perfect. I have bad days. I've done things that I look back on, I'm like, I did that. Like, but and it's okay. We have to be able to take it and use it to get better. So
well, thank you for that. I'm gonna set up a clip and just play it every morning for myself. How do you juggle it all? How do you balance being a mom and still being true to you, being fabulous, because you are, and even you're in a sweatshirt, you look fabulous. Like, you have your style, you have who you are as an individual, but you're a mom. And I think that that's so hard to figure out, especially early on. So, like, I guess my question to you is, when did you feel like you were back to yourself after having a baby? And then how did you get to that now where you're waking up, you're still doing your glam session, you're still hanging out with your friends, and you still have your life, but you're still a fully present mom? Like, how do you do that?
I always tell people that I think where people get tripped up is that when they're little and they're babies, we think that now it's all about the baby. Like, I'm secondary. It's all about this baby. I think you almost have to be the opposite intentionally. And I'm not talking about people that like are neglectful parents, but like, I realized, I think not super early on, but maybe like when she was 1 or 2, that I have to have me, because if I'm unhappy, she's unhappy. So I have to prioritize, like, I know you like to work out. I have to prioritize working out. Like, that is on the schedule, and it's just as important as gymboree. Like, my workout is not less important than taking this kid to gymboree or dance class, because it builds resentment. And I think people, that's how people wake up and they have a 10-year-old. They hate the way they hate their life. They hate the way they look. They hate their husband because they did that. They felt like the only way to be a good parent was to be selfless and sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
And you cannot be that way, because at the end of the day, the goal is to raise them to leave us. So if you think about how short of a time that you actually have with them, it's only 18 years. And it seems like a long time, but I know at year 14, it goes by like this. So those are the people that when the kids are like moving on, they have nothing left.
They don't know who they are.
Yeah. They don't know who they are because they didn't maintain who they were. So I feel like I always carved out time for like adult only time. Like kids don't belong everywhere. Like there has to be that I'm going out with my friends. Nobody bring kids. And it has to be I want to work out. It has to be you have to prioritize
I want to dress up. I want to do full glam makeup. I want to just do this for me.
And if you think about it, I think that the culture is different now. People post all these like, I'm a stellar parent. I do this, that, and the other for my kid. My kid is in 5 developmental classes. Yeah. My kid is doing this. When we were kids, we did what our parents did. Like if my parents had something, like we rolled
an errand to run, we were there. Yep.
I grew up in a time when if my mom wanted to get her nails done, me and my sister would be like in the car waiting for her with the windows rolled down and like colors, or on the floor in the nail shop coloring. It was never like, well, I can't do this because I have to like, and we did have rich activities, but it wasn't the way it is now. And I think people are shamed for having a life, and you can't.
That's the problem. Yeah. You get shamed and then you get the mom guilt to a whole other level. Because it's either you're always mom and only mom, and that's it, or you're a shitty mom. Like if you chip away at the whole part of you and take away a little bit of that to do something else that's not really fully mom title, then you're bad. But it's like you said, you need to do that in order to be a fully present parent and be fully there, because if not, you're going to be resentful, you're going to feel crappy. And then you're also just going to be like, oh my God, who am I? Like you're going to feel lost yourself. And then your whole identity is what? You don't know anymore.
You don't know. And I always tell people, the people that mom shame you, they're the ones that are, they're mad because they want to do a little bit of what you're doing. And they don't allow themselves or never did allow themselves. So they have to project that negativity to you. But when they go home, when they go home, they're pissed. They're like, damn, I wish I was like Giselle and like killing it with the abs and working out, but I never have time. No, you could have time. You just want to boost your own ego by doing all this unnecessary stuff to make you feel like a better mother.
Like it's a competition, but it's not.
It's not a competition.
It's this made up competition of who's the best mom here, who's the best parent, who has the best kid. Crazy. And I feel like it's almost like those bully kids or those mean kids that grew up to be these type of parents. They're the ones that I think are like portraying this type of, or like creating this narrative of this is who you have to be. If not, you suck. You're terrible. You're this.
Or if you don't volunteer for every bake sale, I don't want to do every bake sale. I'll do one. I'll do 2, but I don't use.
Do you actually bake, or do you buy and like pretend?
Do you think I bake? No, I'm kidding. I don't ever do the bake sale. Let me just clarify. I never do the bake sale, but I'll do things that I feel like doing because you don't have to. Do you
chaperone a trip, or have you done the mystery reader or any of that stuff? I've done that with my nieces and nephew.
No,
and it's always
I've never done those things, but. And you know what? I was less involved when she was little. Like maybe I would like buy goodie bags for all the kids for Halloween or something, but I was less involved. Now that she's older, it's the things I enjoy more. So I think I like older kids. I should say that. And I had a little kid, but I think that I enjoy when they're a little bit more independent.
They're finding themselves.
Yeah. So I think now that she's in high school, they've asked me to do a couple things, and I'm like, all right, this I can do. I'm not going to be
you can help them with their with their prom and like makeup and all that stuff, you know.
That I find fun. I would like that. Yeah.
That
these things are cool, but like no, I've gotten roped into being the class parent just now for the first time in the 9th grade. So
tell us how you really feel.
Oh God, no! It's